Welcome, everyone, and we are the Uneducated Gamers podcast presented by GalaxyGameTV.com. And in today's episode, well, I'm just going to say we're going to have a lot of uneducated thoughts today. And those uneducated thoughts are going to come in the form of talking about video games. Wait, this is a video game podcast. Wait,
who'd have thunk it, right?
Right? What just happened? Who's it? What's it?
Yeah.
No. So we are going to give our first thoughts, your first thoughts on the release of Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, yeah.
And I'm going to give my initial thoughts on Horizon Forbidden West. And we will just combine to give our most uneducated thoughts. Joe, how you doing,
Chris,
buddy?
doing good, man. It's been a minute since we've sat down and done this.
Yes, and actually, this is going to be our 10th released episode ever of this show.
Holy shit, 10, really? Congratulations, us. Wow.
So 10 episodes. This is a monumental achievement for us.
We really stuck to it. It only took us how many years to release 10?
Well, I mean, we can't. Okay, so we can't necessarily consider the COVID gap a gap. It was just it was a pause. It was a pause.
It was a gap. Okay.
It's a massive gap. Yes.
Of all the things we could have done during COVID, a podcast is one of them.
Well, but I think we got super busy with a lot of things, or at least I did when it came to work.
Yeah, I mean, same, but just saying.
I think COVID really made work more crazy, in my opinion.
I don't know if it did that for me. It just, more people started to talk to me during COVID for work, but like it didn't feel more insane. But then I looked at what I made last year and I was just like, I guess it was insane. And maybe it's just like, it's like the endorphins are too high. You just don't have time to sit down and look at it. And then you just look back and you're like, holy shit, I probably should have taken a vacation.
Yeah. But I think too, and kind of just looking back and thinking about this is our 10th episode, right? So our first 10 episodes.
Our 10th anniversary.
We went through some growing pains to start this thing up, right?
Still are.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will, but I think we will continue, I guess is what I'm getting at. But I think, that's you know what, everything grows in time, and I think overall, I'm really happy in where we're going, man.
Same, man. Our blossom. We're gonna blossom. We're going to bloom into a beautiful. I don't know what's a good flower. What's your favorite flower?
What is my favorite flower? Well, I really like orchids. I think they're really. I think they're really cool looking when they bloom.
I could fuck with orchids. I like orchids.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not why you guys are here.
No. By the way, shameless plug, but we are going to be designing our Master PCs shirts very soon.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, well, yeah.
This is news to the graphic designer that's going to be making them.
We will be making them very soon, so that'll be very fun. All right, okay. So let's get into what we actually are here to talk about. And, just recently, actually within a matter of weeks of each other, 2 major video games released that were highly anticipated. And the first one that we're going to cover and discuss is Elden Ring. And so, Joe, you played Elden Ring. I haven't yet. But I have actually some interesting thoughts because I've heard and seen a lot of mixed bag items about this game that I kind of wanted to kind of poke at with you.
Oh, really?
But first, let's go ahead and let's hear sort of what your first take thoughts about Elden Ring and its release.
Okay, well, and let me just preface this whole thing by saying, like, this is initial reaction. I delayed buying the game. So at the time of this recording, this is a week after the game was released. And I'm a PC player, and I heard nothing but bad things as far as frame rate drops, memory leaks, stuff like that. But apparently it worked totally fine on consoles. So I was just waiting for the first patch to come through and, fix up a lot of stuff. And it finally came out the other day. Just scrolling through Reddit, they're like, yeah, the patch for Elden Ring is like, holy shit, I'm buying it right now. Yeah, it plays really well now. For me, at least. I'm working on a 1080 Ti, so it's fine. But yeah, initial thoughts so far? Man, very cool. Very, very fucking cool, dude. Like, Dark Souls in like just FromSoft games in general, they always have just like a mood to them. Like as soon as you get into the game, it's just like, oh, this feels like a fully fleshed out world. I don't fucking understand it, but everything around it feels, like it's lived in. It feels like there's more here than what meets the eye. And so far, I'm totally getting that vibe from Elden Ring. Like I'm literally still in Lingard. I've only got like 4 hours into the game, and I have progressed almost nowhere. I started with a wretch because I could not figure out what I wanted to play. So it's just like, just go celestial stats, base stats for everything. Could figure it out later. And I finally have enough strength to use a two-hander, and now I'm finally starting to wreck shit. But I did a couple things. I did a couple of like the smaller instances, which is new to Elden Ring. So if anybody doesn't understand, it's like Dark Souls and Sekiro and Bloodborne all kind of mismatched together. It kind of feels like Dark Souls 4. All these games have been very like super linear. Here's your story. You're going to be moving through a line. Yes, you certainly have some agency to decide which area you want to go to next, but it's all very major. You beat your boss, you go, to the next area until you get to the end and choose your ending, essentially. And who knows if you're going to get the good one or the bad one. But this game is open world, kind of like Breath of the Wild. And, right off the beginning, I mean, it feels like truly like an open world, just walking around. You're just like, what the fuck do I do? Which was the hardest part about this game so far, was just like, what do I do and where do I go? Like it wants you to, it tells you where to go, like through some inference. But, I found catacombs. I found all this wolf den, got killed many times already. Man, I'm having a great fucking time, dude. I really think you should try this one, like for real.
Yeah, and I'm actually still on Dark Souls 1. We haven't had that episode yet, but we will in the near future. But I really thought it would be good for us to start this one. But so sure. I certainly want to get through Dark Souls before I get to Elden Ring.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How far into Dark Souls 1 are you right now?
I'm about 8 hours in.
Yeah, but like, where are you in it? Do you remember? What's the area look like?
No, I didn't take a break. I can't remember exactly where I am. Once I like take a break from a game for a little bit, I kind of forget exactly where I am because I got other things going on.
How dare you have a life outside?
Yeah, right. But no, I mean, I really would love to play this game. So, one of the things, I guess the first question I have for you that, maybe some others who haven't played this game might have is like when you start this game and like I think of Dark Souls, let's just start there. Mm-hmm. Is it very similar? Like, is it very like carbon copy in how they start, where they kind of take you through how you sort of progress into the game? Because I mean, those are some of those things that I think, the developer has a signature on. So I'm just curious if it starts very similar.
As in, like they give you kind of like the lay of the land, like, hey, here's the story, here's this nice cinematic that kind of gives you that, like, that's a bad guy, that's a guy you'll probably have to face later, yada yada yada. Yes, They absolutely do. I mean, I have not played a FromSoft game where they haven't done something
Okay.
like that. And granted, my experience with the Dark Souls series is a little limited compared to other people, because I've bought Dark Souls 1, played about 20 minutes of it, got frustrated, put it away. 2 years later, a couple of years later, I picked up Dark Souls 1. I think it was the Prepare to Die edition. Played it for 45 minutes, got frustrated, turned it off, never looked back. Bought Dark Souls 3 when it came out because I was like, God damn it, I need to get into these games. Everybody says they're fucking amazing. Played about 20 minutes of that again, got frustrated, and turned it off. And then when Dark Souls Remastered came out on the Switch, I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna watch somebody play this game. And I watched YouTuber MF Pallytime
Okay.
sit down and play it with his friend Trickslayer. I don't know, whatever. They're super entertaining to watch. And they did like the co-op of Dark Souls 1, and Pallytime was saying like, hey, this is like my favorite game. I'm going to show you how to play this. And they did it together. And me and my wife sat down and watched it, and I was just like, this doesn't look so bad. I think I can do this. So I finally fucking sat down, bought Dark Souls Remastered, played an hour of it, got frustrated, and put it away.
Oh no.
For like another 6 months. And then I got mad at Star Wars one day, and I was like, you know, fuck it. I'm just gonna go sit down. I'm gonna play Fallen Order, and then it's clicked for me because Fallen Order is kind of like Dark Souls light, and like how you play those games, and it was just it felt like maybe I just needed that inviting palette, that familiar palette of the Star Wars universe, and I blew through that game. I was just like, holy shit, I think I understand this. And then I went and played the remastered version of Dark Souls 1 again, and I was just like, oh, I get it. I totally understand this now. I get why people like this. And you know what I think it was? Is the control scheme. Because it's so different from so many other things out there. As far as like, games of this type of nature are concerned. Because it feels... Do you remember back in the day when we just got 2 analog sticks on a controller?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden...
PlayStation 1, really?
Yeah. But I think it was the Alien... was it Alien Resurrection game? It was like one of the first games that ever did like the dual analog, where it's just like, okay, you look around with the left analog and you aim with the right, whatever, or opposite, it doesn't matter. And everybody was just like, this sucks. I can't believe anybody thinks this is going to be good. And lo and behold, flash forward to the future, you cannot play a first-person shooter any other way. When I come to games like this, it took so long to get used to these controls that I think that was the reason why it pushed me off. But now that I understand it, I'm like, this is the fucking best way to play something like this.
Gotcha.
And I think that's always been my stumbling block with it.
Gotcha.
I love it now.
So with Elden Ring, you play on the PC, so keyboard and mouse is your peripheral?
Nope. Xbox controller.
Really? Why is that?
Because the game works like shit with the keyboard and mouse.
Okay.
I actually do not like it. So I have a kind of a sordid history with controllers on the PC because I used to just be keyboard and mouse only, and it was actually, funny enough, the original Dark Souls back in the beginning of the journey when I bought number 1, like 10 years ago, that was the game that actually made me get a controller, because I tried to play that game with the keyboard and mouse, and you just fucking can't. Like that original version of it, I was just like, this sucks. I hate every second of this. I cannot get into this. I do not know how people like it. But that led me to get a Steam controller, which also is, some people swear by it. I can't do it.
They were okay. They're
ahead of their time in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to get it to work the way that I want it to.
I think the sheer volume of not having controllers that operate like the Steam controller is its disadvantage.
Yeah, a little bit. It was one of those first controllers with like really truly like gyroscopic, aiming and stuff like that. And it was just like, I just couldn't get it to work the right way. And it frustrated me. And then I finally bought an Xbox controller, plugged it into my PC, and I'm just like, yep, that's what I've been missing whole time. able to get into games now, able to do a whole bunch of stuff that isn't like MMO related. And it's been a kind of a game changer, which, for a lot of people, this is going to be like, yeah, well, no shit. But, shut up.
Well, I mean, before I started playing video games on the console, like I was keyboard mouse guy for years. Like I would refuse. I'd be like, I'm not playing Unreal Tournament with a controller. What are you, freaking nuts?
Well, I'm still not going to play Unreal Tournament with
No. I hear you. That was the first game that came to my mind.
Yeah. It's like, no. That's not what you want that for.
Legacy of Kain. I would not play that with a keyboard and mouse. I would play that with a controller.
Yeah.
And so I think, another one. Even though it was an early game, that was, keyboard and mouse pretty much only, and Duke Nukem. Sure. Like after playing that with a controller on the PC, honestly, I was just like, I'm never going back to keyboard and mouse with this game. Are you kidding me?
Sure. I mean, there's certain games that lend themselves to that.
Yeah.
But it's just, you want to play like competitive Overwatch. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're going to use a controller, you're kind of a fucking idiot.
Well, yeah, because you with a keyboard and a mouse, the latency differences, that's a real thing. So a lot of people don't.
I mean, you just don't have you don't have the same reflex action as you do with a keyboard and mouse. So
right. Exactly.
But back to the point of Dark Souls, it was just like the camera just didn't work the right way. It's not one of those games where you're just like looking around everywhere. It wants to focus you in a narrow view, and that's kind of part of the game where it's just like, hey, look forward. By the way, somebody's creeping up on you. By the way, you can't see around this corner. You need to be careful. Stuff like that. Yeah. And it just adds more to it, and it was just very frustrating in the beginning. But it's one of those games where you just in general, all the From Software games, it's pattern recognition. It's it's how well are you paying attention to your surroundings, and you do not need to be the most skilled player to get through the game. Period. I mean, like I see people doing crazy shit, where they show off their hitbox porn, where they're just like, oh, look, I'm going to do an emote where I'm just laughing and I'm moving like 2 centimeters to the right. That means this bolt is going to miss me and I'm just going to turn around and hit. And like, I can't do that shit. I'm the guy that's just fucking dodging all over the place and just like, oh God, I didn't get hit. Awesome. Why did I get hit? Shit like that. I get shit on a lot, but it's just I think that's just kind of like the magic of those games that you just don't see from the onset, where it's just like, look, you'll be rewarded for your efforts. It's frustrating, but every single time you do a little better, you know? Yeah. And it's like testament to it too, is like, I got so deep into Dark Souls 3. And I played it fairly recently, about a year ago. I mean, you beat the game and you're just like, oh shit, what do I do now? Oh, you play the game again. You beat New Game Plus and you're just like, oh shit, what do I do now? You play the game again. And every single fucking time, it's still just as good and just as fun. There's something magical about it that I just can't put my finger on, but it's just so interesting. And I'm super excited for you to get further into it, to be honest with you.
So so we've talked about the controls, use the controller, you're on the PC. So let's go ahead and kind of move into like where you're at in the story. And the way that I want to approach this is saying that I don't want you to really talk about the story that you've sort of entered in. What I'm most curious about is, what do you think about the story so far, given the limited entry that you've had?
Oh, that's real easy. I have no idea what's going on. I have absolutely no idea. And this is something that you're probably not very familiar with, as far as like, especially like the Souls games themselves. Like, Sekiro is a little different. The lore is all around you, but nothing is handed to you. So if you want to go in to a game, get the minimum amount of story, because it's like, yeah, I don't really care. I am here for the experience. I am here to fight. I want to do cool shit. Play the game. You're fine. However, if you want to learn all this stuff, you need to go talk to people. You need to go find items. You need to go talk to NPCs. You need to talk to NPCs at the right time with the right item, with this NPC already been talked to and whatnot. And you can play the game over and over and over and over again, and you still won't get the complete story. And the beauty of it too is that you don't need the story to progress. Like, you understand from the beginning. It's just like, look, I need to light these fires. I know there's the Lord of Cinders, and I understand that it's a derelict throne, and I need to right the wrongs that are happening here, or don't, or I'll be the Lord of Cinder, or I'll extinguish the flame and walk away, or I'll be a Lord of Darkness. It's so interesting. The gameplay is the same for everybody, but everybody's experience becomes a little bit different as they go along.
Is that because you basically, even though there are probably some pieces of it that are linear, you get to choose. It's basically choose your own adventure, right?
Well, it is and it isn't. So specifically about Dark Souls 1. Because I got a decent amount of experience with that one. I still haven't fought all the bosses in that game. It's one of those things where it's just like, look, if you want to go through and just play like the regular story, you can get from point A to point B fairly easily and figure out your stuff. There's a couple things that are going to throw you off. You don't always need to take the same path to get there, but you will get to the end. But there's all these side stories with all these bosses that you might not even know they're there, frankly. There was a couple of them where I was just like, oh, all right, that was a total accident that I found them, and apparently this is a big part of the story that I just completely had no idea was going on. So I mean, and that's kind of where the exploration and talking to NPCs and figuring out where to go and when kind of comes in, and that adds the replayability of it. And plus, the PvP of it too. Like, if you can stand PvP, have a good time,
Yeah. So, okay. So, all right. So we talked about controls, talked about the story. I know you're not particularly a graphics person, right? So you're not particularly somebody who plays a game for graphics.
Right. As a graphic designer, I don't care about graphics.
But I think everything that you put in a game, including the aesthetic and the feel of it, like the texture of it, it matters, right? Because without a good texture for you to put to your physical controls that you are experiencing, I truly believe it's very hard to play a game that is visually hard to follow. So
sure,
when we talk about visuals of the game, I want to focus less on the fidelity and more specifically on the palette and the graphical orientation of the game. Like, comparatively to other AAA games out there, I feel like Elden Ring is probably From Software's first game that I've seen anyways that just is absolutely pretty, but also aesthetically, I guess the way I would say it is matching the gameplay in a way that it just creates a good mixture that is not, like, I always talk about immersion breaking, right? Like, where you have a crap game and really great graphics and they just don't work together. So
yeah, it's just like you're still rolling a pineapple down the stairs. Great graphics though.
Yeah. So Elden Ring, your impressions thus far on the graphical presentation of the game and kind of how it marries with the gameplay.
Well, I'd say that FromSoft has never been a graphics powerhouse.
Sure.
They've always kind of sacrificed graphics more so for gameplay. And in games like this, like that makes a ton of sense. I mean, it still is nice to see, super high res, beautiful, lighting and whatnot, which they do have. These aren't ugly games by any means. I can see what some people are saying about being like, oh, these graphics aren't great. Well, it's like, yeah, sure. I mean, is it Horizon, Forbidden West? No, it's not. But the thing about it though is it's very consistent. And that's something that they always do very well. It's always so consistent. Like when you're in the world, you're in the world. There's nothing immersion breaking about it. There's never anything that's just like, why the fuck's that there? And if it is there, it's there for a purpose. There was one thing that I was telling my wife yesterday, because I was fighting my first, like, it's not even really a mini boss. It's kind of like, so in the game, you have your linear line where it's just like, look, if you want to progress through the story, you're going to go to A, B, C, and D. We're going to lead you there with the story, and you're going to finish this game eventually. Like Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is like, look, go explore the world. However, you got to kill these 4 guardians, and then we're going to go kill Ganon. Stuff like that. So it's the same idea as that. But you have all these little side areas, like you have catacombs. I found a cave. I found a castle ruins. They aren't necessarily linear, but you walk into them, and it's almost like a Skyrim dungeon. You remember those where you walk in, you go to you squirrel around, you find your shit, you get to the end, and they're like, okay, go back to the beginning, go explore some other shit, kind of like that. But anyway, one of the first things that I found, and granted, keep in mind as well, I picked a wretch, which is no armor and just a club. That's it. And you don't have the stats to pick up anything else until you level up. Okay. So you need to do well in order to progress, but you are at a severe handicap from the beginning, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to these catacombs, and I'm just like, oh, sweet. Fucking love the skeletons, in every Dark Souls game. Best place, catacombs are. No skeletons. I was like, shit, that sucks. I get killed within the first 30 seconds of walking in there. I mean, like I turn a corner and there's like these little gargoyles. So the whole theme of this dungeon is stone gargoyles. I had no idea when I walk in there. I turn a corner, one of them comes out and just swipes at me 3 times, and I'm dead. And I'm just like, oh fuck, great.
But but see, here's the thing though, right? Like, what? So like to pause you for a second.
Yeah,
right?
Go for it.
Is like you just touched on probably one of the most important and design aesthetics of any game, right?
Yeah.
Is you have a predetermined idea of what you think is going to be in this dungeon, and it's not that.
Exactly.
And to me, that is more immersion. Meaning it provides you more immersion into a game, because there's these regular tropes of, a dungeon, you're going to have a skeleton. So like everywhere is going to be this or that. And they visually, they play you right into that, which I think is probably one of the best things about game design when you go, sort of in that direction. And so I think you do that through visual design.
Yeah, and it's really cool because it's like, we talk about textures and all that stuff. It's just like it feels like a really, it's not a creepy cat. I mean, it's a video game. It's, it's not like, oh God, this is so creepy. I don't scare easily, when it comes to stuff like that. Like, it's got to be like jump scares, where it's just like, okay, then I'll jump. But it kind of subverted my expectations. And one of the things, just to backtrack just like a hair here, one of the things about, the Dark Souls games in particular is you never feel like you're alone in that game. Because everywhere you go, there's messages on the ground from other players where it says like, be wary of left, liar, finger butthole, which means It's kind of like you in order to get like a critical strike, you got to get behind your opponent, and then if you attack them in the right spot, it's it gives them like critical damage, and it's good like fingering the butthole. Anyway, but you always have these kind of like messages around there, kind of giving you hints and being like, hey, be wary of left. And sometimes they lie to you, sometimes they don't. Because some people just troll you. Some people, sometimes there's ledges and they're just like, there's a secret underneath there, and I literally watch people walk off the side. But another thing that's happening too is like if you are close to somebody on your same server, I think that's how it works. You'll actually see like a white outline of that person fighting, walking around, doing whatever, interacting, but you can't see what they're fighting. You can see their animations. You can't tell what's going on, and you kind of always feel like, oh, there's always somebody here. If you see bloodstains in the ground, you can touch them, and it'll show the last 10 seconds of somebody's life. So you can see like, oh, this red ghost comes up. I see them walk into this room, get hit from the left, and then they fall over dead. So I'm like, okay, I can tell that there's going to be something there. So it's kind of a strange game where you're totally alone, but you don't feel like you're alone at any given point. Anyway, okay. Not really necessary to this story, but I just thought that was another like interesting thing about these games that's really fun. But I'm in these catacombs, and like I said, it's all kind of like stone gargoyles and shit. And I'm making my way through. I'm not stupid. I've played these games before. I know how to block and move around, and efficient enough where I'm not going to die too much. Aside from that first surprise, So I make it to the boss at the end of this thing, and it's this gigantic stone cat that's holding a gigantic sword and has a flame tail, and it's a stone statue. Okay. And like I said, I don't really get scared in games. It's not really my thing. It's, unless it's going to be like jumping out at me, I'm not too scared of it. This thing was unsettling as hell. Like it was, and it's called look it up. I'm telling, like, look this thing up. It's called the Erdtree Burial Watchdog. It's the thing that's beautiful about this game and a lot of FromSoft games is the movement of the characters, because it's so important in a game where you need to react to your enemy's movement and what they're throwing at you, what their what their tells are, when you have to sit down and you need to memorize every single movement that they make. And then the way that this fucking thing moved was just, it looked like a medieval etching of a sleep paralysis demon. And the way that it moved too, where it was just like it just stared you dead in the face, and it was creepy as hell, man. I swear to God, you gotta check this fucking thing out. I'm gonna leak it to you right now, actually. But that was like my first.
I'm looking at it right now.
You're looking at it? Okay.
Yeah, it is creepy.
It is, yeah. You got to see how it walks too. Like when it stands up on its hind legs, and like the hands don't move because it's stone, and it's just like it's very slow, and all of a sudden it's lightning fast on top of you.
And then and the head spins around, and
yeah, it's very strange. And then you have other enemies that are super fluid, like snakes, and they just you can see every single movement of them, and you need to pay attention to ridiculous parts of their body in order to understand if they're going to hit you from the left, from the right. Are they going to throw something at you? Are they going to jump at you? Are they going to slide at you? Stuff like that. And it's just beautiful, man. So it's so rewarding.
Speaking of that, and one of the things that I thought was one of the coolest things is, and I've seen it in other like videos and such, but you could just be, running to a location, or riding your horse and going to a location, and out of nowhere, a dragon can come out and just attack you.
Yes, that's
and the videos that I've seen of these dragons, regardless of the fidelity of the game, which I know a lot of people have a gripe about, regardless of that. Dude, these things look freaking cool, man.
Oh yeah.
Like these things aren't like things to be like, oh, that looks like a garbage dragon. Like this is next level dragon stuff, and it's pretty sweet.
It's always been that way. I mean, I would say, for the most part, anybody that's complaining about graphics with this stuff doesn't really know what you're talking about. You know, I try not to discount too many opinions, but I mean, like, those are opinions that I would immediately discount, because I'll tell you what, art style means so much more than graphical fidelity. You know, like, for instance, I say this game a lot, Guild Wars 2. Beautiful art style. Are the graphics dated? Fuck yes. But you know what? Style never fades. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
it's one of those things.
You look at Windwalker, right? And not
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker. Not to deter too much, right?
No, but you're right. So,
but look at Windwalker.
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker. I said it right the first time.
Yeah, you did. You fucked yourself up.
Yeah. So, but you're right. Like, it's all about the art style, because I can tell you, I've played that game recently, and I'm like, dude, this game is awesome. Like, I actually kind of
feels like you played it for the first time.
I actually kind of like it even better than Breath of the Wild in certain aspects, but that's a whole different conversation. Sure. But yeah, I think you know, just some of the sheer aesthetic detail that they put into this game, like even the trees or the leaves and having some movement there, like that's not easy to do. That's not there's resources that go into making that work and work well. And I think we often look at games and rate them by fidelity, and I actually really do believe that's an incorrect way to assess a video game, because it's more about, as I was saying earlier, aesthetic, how they use that aesthetic as a function of the game, and how they execute their aesthetic. So execution, in my opinion, is key. I think of this, right? The Division. I love that game. I've talked about that with you before. Like, that game is great. We've had many
arguments about that game.
But here's the problem with that game, right? Is everything that you're supposed to focus on is high fidelity. It's really good, right? But if you go off to like an alleyway and you go look down and you see a magazine, the magazine looks like a piece of crap.
Sure.
And so you can have these details in a game, and sure, it doesn't make sense. Fine. Sure. Yes, it does. But if you don't execute on that design aesthetic as a consistent piece of the game, then you failed, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree. I think, you know, there's something to be said about, you know, trying to push graphical fidelity, you know, because it's like, look, somebody's got to take that, you know, and some people do enjoy seeing that, you know, like, it's still, you know, people still ooh and ah over Star Citizen, you know, stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're going to base, you know, the entirety of your enjoyment of a game, you know, off of that, or it's just like, well, you know, I guess I'm not everybody, you know, and I guess I shouldn't really be shitting on people that, you know, it's like, if that's what you truly like, then, you know, if it's not going to satisfy you, it's not going to satisfy you. I'm just saying that there's more to it than that, you know, because it's like the games that you fall in love with, you don't fall in love with them because of the graphics. You fall in love with them because of the gameplay and the style of it. You know, it's, I mean, who talks about like, oh, look how realistic this fingernail is? It's like, who gives a shit? You know, it's like, am I actually having a good time? I don't like, awesome that the artist put that much effort into it, and the rendering technology is that good, but it's just like, that is not the game, you know?
Yeah. So speaking of not the game, we do this often when we talk about video games. We didn't, obviously, for the 100 the countdown to 100,
because there was 100 games,
because we couldn't do it. But anytime we talk about video games, we kind of take to the Metacritic. That's where we got masterpieces. And some of these are very interesting, and I just want to read a few of these because, and I'm curious to see kind of your reaction to it, right?
Sure.
So this person bought it pretty much on release. It looks like, and says massive stuttering issues and no ultra wide support, and no ultra wide support in all caps. Those are deal breakers for me.
Okay. I mean, as somebody who does not play on an ultra wide monitor, I don't see the problem. But I also, there's something, like I said earlier with this too, like these games want to focus your vision on your enemy, and you're supposed to use the environment around you and your own senses to understand where other enemies are, and to understand also that things are going to be hidden from you. Like it's you got to think about this game, not in all aspects, but it kind of helps put you in the mindset of it. It's been like, you're actually there. Like you're there with a helmet on. Think of it that way. It's just like your peripheral vision is going to be messed up. You're not going to be able to look every single place possible while you're fighting something. You're essentially locked on, and that's it. I could see an ultra wide monitor being a problem with it. I'm actually not even sure that ultra wide's been an option for any of the Souls games, to be honest with you. I've never really looked into it, again, because I don't have an ultra wide monitor, but like that kind of, for me, that would kind of take away from it a little bit. So I don't know.
So here's another one, and I actually have a question that I'm going to follow up with this one. A performance embarrassment. The game is full of bugs graphically, not artistically. It is a mediocre game. Incomprehensible, the notes that are being given. So I don't understand the last sentence this person even said. However, I have a question.
It's incomprehensible.
I have a question for zing.
Did it, pun.
So here's a question, because you said in the beginning that you waited to get into it because you wanted to wait for the patch. So you didn't get an opportunity to play it when it was unpatched, right? Mm-hmm. But what were some of the reasons behind waiting when you're talking about the patch? Was it a lot of what people were talking about? There was a lot of massive problems with the game upon release.
Well, so specifically the PC version had frame rate issues. Mm-hmm. And there was some people were talking about, like, there was memory leak issues and whatnot. One of my friends that at the gym I go to, he's a console gamer, but his brother plays on PC. And I mean, he tries to speedrun Dark Souls 3. He's very into it. When I was trying to beat Dark Eater Midir, which if you play, you'll get to it eventually, and you'll understand the process of that fight, which is fucking ridiculous. And he's just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you just gotta move here, you gotta do that, and all that shit." And it's just like, "Okay, fuck, dude, you play this game a lot." And his brother, who plays on a PC, he's just like, he said he played it for like 2 hours and he returned it because it was just like, it just wasn't working the right way. He's just like, "I'll just get it later." I'm like, well, if you're gonna get it on Steam, just keep it. Like, what's the problem? It's gonna be fixed eventually. Right. But yeah, I mean, like, even Fextra Life, he's a streamer that's is just gigantic in the Souls community. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're the link that I just gave you earlier about that Erd Tree Burial Watchdog. I mean, that's their wiki. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he was even saying too, it's just like, look, there's a lot of frame rate issues on release with this game. After you play the game for a while, you probably won't notice them that much if you have the right hardware for it, but they're still there. And I definitely noticed them. I mean, it hasn't gotten killed yet, which I'm waiting for that to happen. But there's something there that's messy. Because if I'm looking in certain directions, I'm usually sitting at like a solid like 55 to 60 frames. I mean, it dips down to the 30s, which, that's fine. But in a game like in a Souls game, when frames literally get you, or the difference between like, I'm gonna live or I'm gonna die, mm-hmm. That's where it becomes an issue. That's where you want that silky smooth. Like, if you play Dark Souls 3 today, it'll be silky smooth the whole goddamn time. And it's a difference. it takes some getting used to, but I can understand why somebody would be mad about that. But at the same time, too, it's like it's gotta get fixed, and it already has been fixed pretty well, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. So here's another one. I found this one interesting as well, and kind of funny and hilarious. So this one says 95% of reviews for this game that does not support 21.9 in 2022, LOL, has terrible 21.9 ultra wide.
Yeah.
Has terrible optimization.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even automatically change key prompts from controller to keyboard when you play on PC. Are devs this lazy? Game itself looks pretty dated. Visuals are mediocre. AI is horrible. Animations look like from 2010. I miss times when reviews were actually objective.
I mean, it just sounds like this game isn't for that guy. You know? I mean, this is probably one of the best games that they've ever put out. And they put out quality games.
Yeah,
you know?
I think this goes back to, again, what we were just discussing, right? There's a difference between fidelity and graphical immersion in a game, right?
Yeah,
like
there is.
And aesthetic. Like, I think there's a huge difference. And I do think many people have a hard time discerning the difference between the two, because I can go and play. I'll give you an example, just a quick bait example, and sure. I might get destroyed for this one, but whatever. NBA Jam, okay?
Okay.
NBA Jam Tournament Edition that came out in, I think it was 1997, right?
Okay, yeah.
It is graphically dated.
Yes.
But the same game, NBA Jam On Fire Edition that came out in 2018 is, from a fidelity perspective, is a way better looking game.
Sure.
But I could say that the new version of the game is a piece of poo, and I much prefer the Tournament Edition that came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because the game plays more fluid. The game plays more on a way that it makes sense. And to me, it doesn't matter if I can see the eyeball of that character go from one direction to the other. I just care that I'm having fun playing that damn game.
Well, not to beat a dead horse here too, but I mean, it's kind of the difference between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3.
Sure.
Yeah. Where it's just like, yeah, cool. I mean, like, I'm moving on more planes. I'm not tied to 8 directions. I have more buttons to press and whatnot. And it's just like, is it fun? Yes. Do I prefer the other one? Do I prefer number 2? Fucking yes. There's something different about it. It's got a different tone. It's got a different feel. It's got a different, is it slower? Yeah, but that's a feature, not a problem. You know what I mean? It's and everybody's going to have their own different opinions and stuff like this. I think a lot of the From Software games get a lot of hate and everything. Not really hate, but I mean, get dismissed really easily by people that really haven't played them. And I'll fully admit I was one of those people for a long time, because it's like everybody kept on talking about it. And honestly, I was kind of pissed off that I couldn't get into it, and I didn't understand what was so cool about it, and then it finally clicked for me, and I was just like, oh, I don't feel bad about what I said, but I kind of look like an idiot now, it's, you know what I mean? Where it's just like,
right.
Yeah, all right, I kind of get it. That certainly isn't true with everything in life. Some things are on their face stupid. But it's, yeah, I mean, you can't have this many people with this many games, you have so much praise for it, and it actually still be bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. So Metacritic, 51 critic reviews, give it a 95 Metascore, which puts it at the top of the top. Of all time.
Yeah.
I think the highest score ever was 98, I believe. So it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
So the user review score, which is 2,119 ratings, of a 6.7 out of 10 scale, with 680 and negative reviews. So, but double that up with positive reviews of 1,315. You know, even based on the things that I've seen on video for this game, I still think I'll end up getting it at some point for sure. But it's certainly going to take a back burner to playing Souls and Horizon Forbidden West.
Sure.
But if you had to give the audience a non-score rating of this game, and let's go on the scale of this, is a must-play, play, or wait?
Don't play. Oh, I would say it's a must play. If I had to throw it out there, and granted, still caveat, I'm not very far into it, but from what I've experienced so far, it feels like a more upgraded Dark Souls 3, which for me was great. Loved that game. And I can't imagine that this one will disappoint in any way, shape, or form. So I would say must play, but play it at your leisure. You know, I mean, there's still bugs that they're going to fix. You know, if you have a good rig, if you're playing on a PC, you'll probably be fine. You'll find a little bit of frustration there, but you're going to be fine. It's not that bad, in all honesty. One thing that I would say on a PC, though, is if you are using an Xbox controller, make sure that you update the firmware on your controller. Because I was actually running into a problem where the game was kept auto minimizing and going to a black screen. And the solution for that was to actually update the firmware on the controller. But if you're playing on a console, from what I have heard, console is the way to play this game right now, where it's built for a console. You know, PlayStation 5, you'll have no problems. Xbox, no problems. So, yeah, go ahead and play it. But you know what? If you don't want to play it yet, it'll still be there later, you know, and that might actually be good too, because there's going to be expansions, DLC for this thing too, like there is with every other Soulsborne game. So I'd say it's worth it.
You heard it here, folks. Joe says it's a must play.
Yeah. Horizon Forbidden West. You've been talking about this game for a very long time. You've been fanboying over it. Does it live up to the hype?
Oh my gosh, have I ever been fanboying over this game? Because, so, I think we've talked about it on this podcast, but I just recently finally finished it, finished the first one, including all of the DLC, or, you know, the DLC that they released on it, which was Frozen Wilds. And
snow physics.
And...
No, I saw the snow physics. I watched the video. And it was just I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is actually really cool. And I think even though so just on a small tangent on the first one, even though the DLC was quite short, it was still very satisfying regardless, because I thought that it added just enough to the story to not drag you along.
Okay. We were talking about the first one, right?
That is the first one, yes.
Okay.
So Horizon Forbidden West really kind of takes place almost immediately after Frozen Wilds. And that's why I kind of started there, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
And so, you know, basically, you know, Aloy is you're kind of greeted with this backstory, which I think is actually really great, because it really lends itself to bring new players in without playing the first one. They sort of give you a brief history lesson, which really is only about maybe 45 seconds or so. It's not super long.
It's just enough to get you primed to be like, this is your main character. Is her name really Aloy?
Aloy, yep.
I always read it as Alloy,
Yeah, no. So it's Aloy,
so you
and
could tell who played the game and who didn't play the game. It's like the Last Airbender, where it's just like we're gonna call him Ong.
and so you kind of start out with this story, and it sort of not only gives you like 15 seconds or so of what happened, but it gives you another 35, 40 seconds of what's been happening since we left Aloy last, right?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
And so basically, you start off and there's this really weird red matter that is sort of taking over the lands and killing off animals and killing off fauna and stuff like that. So it's damaging the lands, and they're trying to figure, she's trying to figure out what the source of the solution is. And a lot of it has to do with, in a slight spoiler alert, but at the end of the game, of the first one, you're off to go find Gaia, which basically Gaia is meant to help restart the planet to destroy the daemon that they call, which is the machine infestation of the land that's basically hurting everything, right? So with that, you then start off with just a bow and arrow, your basic gear, because she's just on a reconnaissance mission when you first start. And then you start meeting up with some of your old friends, and it's kind of cool because even if you're not a new even if you haven't played the original game, the first game, you can go through and live vicariously through these people's story of their view of Aloy and what she had done for them. So, but you don't have to talk to all these people, but people who have never played the game, you can, to learn more about the game. So it's kind of like, again, in the beginning, choose your own adventure. You could go talk to these people, or you could just get right into it. It doesn't really matter.
Refresher go. You're not like forced into it, where it's just like, okay, I know the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Which is great. So, I mean, I poked around some of the people. I was like, oh, I know that person, and actually, this is a real reaction. Like, I was like, oh, I remember that person from this, this interaction. I should go see what they have to say today, because like, some of these characters you see for a good portion of the first game previously. So I wouldn't say grow an attachment to them, but you have an invested interest in some of these people sometimes.
Yeah, it's like any RPG, right?
Yeah. So it's really cool. Like, and so you go through that, and then you start kind of going into, your first exploration with one of your friend characters. And I'm not going to start kind of giving too many spoilers at this point. Basically, it really dives right into teaching you about the new mechanics of the game. It really actually kind of takes a Souls approach to introducing you to some of the new mechanics of the game. What I mean by that is, again, like I said, your first mission is kind of like on a reconnaissance of figuring out sort of information hub. It's a cauldron that you have to go into that basically you're trying to figure out what's going on and where's Gaia, because you believe in this cauldron, that's where Gaia is, because that's what you've been told. Okay. And so you start diving into traversing to get to the cauldron, and you have all these machines you have to kind of get through, but you start learning some of the new machines in this area. So there's no original machines in the first part of the game. They're all new machines. So it kind of eases you into, what are the weaknesses of these new machines, right? Which I think is smart, because not starting you with machines you already know or familiar with doesn't make the beginning super boring, right? Because it's like, I know this Watcher because I killed like 700 of them in the last game. Oh no, this is a completely different machine.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it was quite clever. But the kind of the Souls part of it, and again, I'd say Souls like. I'm not saying it's completely like Souls, but Souls like. As you go through these different pieces, then you learn some of the new mechanics as they take you through to this is the next step you need to do. This is where you're going. It kind of holds your hand on these new mechanics, right? And so I think that's where it feels more Souls-like, but that's it. That's the only reason why I say it feels Souls-like.
Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
So you get to the cauldron and so on and so forth. And, I guess spoilers, you're disappointed. And now you're headed to the Forbidden West. And so that's when the beginning of the story starts. So,
and then the title comes up and you're just like, oh, that's the game, isn't it?
Yeah. So really your first 30-ish minutes, well, it depends on how long you talk to people. Mm-hmm. Your first 30 minutes ish of the game is you're truly kind of figuring out that you're trying to figure out where Guy is. And then you're like, oh, I have to head to the Forbidden West.
Would you say it was the illusion of Gaia?
I would.
Do you get that joke?
Yes.
Dude, I've been thinking about that the whole time you said Gaia in the very first time.
Oh, man. So what I could say is for the beginning of the game, I'm about 6 hours into the game. So not very far. Yeah, so not very far. However, that first boss, which is honestly is not a very hard boss. It's you fight this snake. It's a new.
I think I've seen that one. It's like a cobra, right?
Yeah, so it's a new machine, and at first, the beauty part about Forbidden West or any the two Horizon games thus far, they don't really. You have to analyze a machine. You have to find its weak points. Like it doesn't hand you on a platter. This is how you beat this machine. You actually have to work for it, right? You have to find the weak point. You have to figure out ways to well, if you want to talk, RPG terms, stagger it or knock it down to where it's weakened. That's where you start doing more maximum damage, right? Your typical RPG formula.
Sure, that makes sense. How does the game show you the weak points? Like, how do you go about finding them? Is it just like trial and error, or is it like telling you what to do?
Yeah. So, as the first game did as well, you have this thing called the focus, and it's on our ear. And so you have a toggle where you can turn it on, and it can basically it'll analyze the machine. It'll start pointing out the weak points in the machine, and then as you see different components, so there's a bunch of components on a machine. So there could, in some machines, there could be 8 or 9 different components. So it will highlight them, and then you can actually use your arrow key to scroll through on the UI to say, okay, this component is weak against fire, and this component is weak against hard tip arrows. And so you have to balance on where you start first in order to weaken the creature first. So, for instance, if the snake has a component inside its mouth that spits the fire out at you. Well, if you want the creature to stop spitting fire at you, maybe you're going to target that first. Or if there's one that has a gun shooter on it, right? You're going to want to target the gun component before you start disabling it because you want it to stop shooting at you. So there are different ways to attack each machine. And the beauty part is you don't have to, it's not linear as you have to do this or you have to do that. It's your choice. Like whatever you want to do first.
Do you have to end up taking out all the components, or is it just like an HP bar on the dude?
No, the components are resources. So you basically, you could destroy the machine without getting the resources and the components that you knock off of it.
Okay.
Now, it's much harder to defeat a machine when you don't weaken it. Because as you start knocking off components, it weakens its ability to be, strong in certain
like offensive
aspects.
And all that. Yeah. Because like, why would you knock it off any other way?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like what's the point at that point?
Exactly. So it's very dynamic that way.
So like most of the combat's focused mostly around like, is it so much about like, okay, I need to switch weapon types throughout this fight quickly and efficiently while I'm targeting something very specific, or is it more so like Souls where it's just like, look, this shit's coming at me at this angle, I need to move in this specific direction or to get away from it, or block parry appropriately, or is it kind of like a mixture of both?
It's a mixture of all that because yeah, so when you talk about fighting human characters, that's where you gotta fight people. Yeah.
Is there blood in this game? Because I don't do
blood. No.
Oh well, then I'm fine.
So there's human characters that you also end up battling or whatever, and so basically parrying skills do come into play there. But it also there's sequencing on how you use your shock blaster on your I don't know the technical name for it, but it's like it basically sends a shock wave to stun someone. But you have to sequence that at a certain point to where a person is have a certain level of defense low enough to be effective.
Okay. So it's kind of like a block bar kind of type. Yeah. You gotta stagger them.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to machines, same thing. You can you have to roll and dodge sometimes because certain ones are so big and so hard to fight against that you're primarily running for your life, switching through your gear, trying to target specific pieces at certain times in order to either stagger or weaken or stun the machine, to then be able to say, okay, now I could do some max damage for the next, I don't know, they give you a meter, but like for the next, say, 15 seconds or whatever it is. And then they get back up and start charging after you again. And you have to go back and do your dodging and shit.
Like a break bar debuff type of thing where they take like 30% more damage or some shit. Yeah.
So it's a very typical RPG-ish type setup. But it's done in a way that is extremely dynamic with how, with the components and the very different approaches that you can take to the game, because you could be a tank, you can be a silent, takedown kind of person. You can play all those different types of roles at different times, and you don't have to. It's not like it's a skill set that you are static with. Yeah. Meaning you don't just
have to like treat into it or anything like that.
Right. You don't have to be a stealth. You don't have to be a fixer. A tinker. You don't have to be any of those. But you can be all those if you want to as well.
Okay. How do you play?
So I'm very stealthy. Like I'm a stealthy kind of.
Oh, you're a stealthy bitch.
Yes, I am.
Bet you played Skyrim with a bow too.
Yeah, I did. And that's why I love this game so much. I mean, I'll take the high ground and attack from above. I'm one of those kind of players.
Oh man, I'm a total strength build, great sword, walk into the face of the boss type of person myself. So
you're a tanker.
Oh, I would call it a tanker. Call it a fucking bruiser.
Well, same thing. Whatever.
No, it's not. Okay, so a tank just soaks damage. A bruiser is able to take damage, but mostly does damage back. Okay, there's difference. There's difference.
Okay.
All right. So has this sequel like lived up to the expectation? Because like there was a fucking ton of hype around this game. And from everything that I saw, it stood up to it. But how does it stand up with you?
So I have a little bit of a weird aspect to this because I don't have a PS5. I have a PS4. Yeah. So I'm playing this on older generation, and I don't have a Pro. I just have a straight up PS4.
Mm-hmm. Get with the times, Chris.
So what I could say from the first one, playing on the PS4 with Horizon Zero Dawn, you know, there was a lot of the game was very smooth. It was I didn't really have a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm struggling with on the PS4 is, first, I don't think this game should have came out on the PS4.
Oh, was it that bad? Is it like Cyberpunk bad?
No, it's not Cyberpunk bad, but I'm having a hard time staying engaged with it. And I think a lot of it has to do with some of the problems that I think the PS4 has with this game.
Okay, like what?
So there are times that the dialogue just drops out and is not playing.
Oh, so like mid-sentence, it's just like out.
It just stops.
Okay.
Transitions from one cutscene to, so before, and even on the PS5, nobody has issues on the PS5 like this.
Mm-hmm.
But like transitions from like a cutscene to then into the battle, there's like a 5-second black screen, and then you go into it, which is, you know,
it's just loading time.
But it's just a black screen. It's not loading. It's not a load thing. It's like straight up black screen, no sound, no nothing. It's like cut, black screen. Okay, now you're in the battle. And so my experience in the PS4 is not been very good, which I think is leading to some of the reason why I'm only 6 hours in. But
okay.
What I can say about what I've played thus far, and when I'm actually playing the game, it's interesting because I am enjoying every minute when I'm playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm slightly disappointed with is it kind of just makes you start over from when, like, meaning from Horizon Zero Dawn with all your weapons and stuff like that. It's like,
oh, did they pull the old Metroid where it's just like, oh, you got hit in the head and now you don't have your Various suit anymore.
Yeah.
You don't even have missiles.
Yeah. So
sucks.
There was no like good carryover from that to sort of set a stage. Now, I'm not saying they had to give you everything that you started with, but I feel like it was like basically starting over. So that was like a little of a bummer for me.
So when they make you start over, though, are they making you get the same items that you had in the first game again?
Well, I mean, it is different items, right? So it's a completely different region.
Okay.
So you're not
have arrows.
You're not. No, you have arrows, but you're not. So in the first one, you have like Karja, and you have certain tribes that you get equipment from to build up your arsenal. Well, in the Forbidden West, it's just different tribes, right? So it's different equipment. So I see what they were going for there, and I understand it. I don't know. It was part of it that was just slightly disappointing. But going back to what we were talking about before about aesthetic and mirroring the aesthetic to the gameplay, by far they have picked up and probably turned it up quite a bit on the whole fidelity to the gameplay perspective.
Okay.
I also think they made the game a lot more vertical than the first one, which I think that's what I missed from the first one was how vertical. You know, you couldn't get you couldn't natively climb just about any surface in the original game. This one you can.
Did the original have gliders?
No.
So, because I saw a trailer for this one, and it looks like what do they call her, Aloy?
Yeah.
It looks like she has a glider.
Yeah, you get that.
Device.
You get that a little bit later in the beginning, but it's not far off from the beginning of the game that you get it.
Right.
So it helps you glide from areas instead of having to find zip lines to go down, which is quite useful. I'll be honest with you, because
kind of work like Breath of the Wild type of glider. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can the difference there with it is you can still interact with the environment, so you can glide, and then you can use your zip hook to like go to a pedestal or a platform if you want to while you're gliding. So it's very dynamic
kind of
in that
like
way.
a hook shot almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like if you've ever seen Just Cause, where in Just Cause he can basically traverse in midair. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, that game was kind of a meme for a while. Doing just crazy shit with the physics.
Yeah. I
still see random videos on that shit.
I like Just Cause. It's a good game.
Yeah, I mean it seems like it's got some replayability to it. I mean,
yeah.
Anybody that's going to sit down and try to like just figure out crazy stuff to do, I mean, they're going to have a great time with that. So
exactly. So I think overall, it certainly lived up to its hype with kind of where they took the game.
Mm-hmm.
I just had some personal disappointments on kind of how they had you start in the game, but that's very one-sided, and that's a personal disappointment as opposed to a disappointment that it impacts the game, because to me it doesn't impact the game in that way, meaning it doesn't impact my thought of an excitement for the game, if you know what I mean.
It's just kind of the prologue's more of an obstacle to you then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
but,
and that's the shit that sucks about that stuff too. Where it's just like, do you need to do the prologue? Is there any way to skip it?
No.
Obviously, like, you don't need to talk to everybody, but
no,
there's no way to skip that shit.
No. And that's okay though. Like, again, I think it's very useful because you learn how all the new stuff in the very beginning to how to utilize it while you're in the game. So to me, it's super useful. It's not a situation where it's not a good use of anyone's time, especially with anybody who's played the game previously. It's just not something that I personally didn't want. But that's just the beginning of the game. Once you start rolling into the game is just phenomenal. And what I can also say is, I know you're not a fidelity guy.
It does look good.
The games that so this game, even on the base PS4, like when I looked at it, I'm like, how the hell did they even amp up the graphic fidelity even more on a PS4, like a base PS4? It's incredible. It's completely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, all the videos I've seen and everything that people have talked about it's just like, this looks insanely good on a PlayStation 5. And I'm just like, it kind of makes me want to be a console gamer, because then you don't have to worry about anything. You're just like, I could just go play the game,
right?
But I don't know, man. It's still too hard to get a console. I don't know. I'm just maybe next generation, but yeah, every single thing I've seen about it, I'm just like, damn, that's really fucking cool. It kind of, do you remember, like, I think like Elden Ring and Forbidden West are pretty good examples of this. But do you remember how people thought video games were in like the 90s? Like, do you remember like anybody that didn't play video games like try to put up like some sort of media about video games where they're just like, oh, well, I'm this guy in this hallway and I'm having a super intricate sword fight and I'm jumping around on stuff. And everybody's like, you don't do that. Like, you can't do that. Like, that's awesome, but it's not something that's, possible. And now we're finally at that point where it's just like, yeah, maybe those people were ahead of their time. Maybe they saw the future.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely makes sense.
I very specifically remember like a whole bunch of like artwork and like in any time there was some sort of presentation, like that's how people thought about it. I was just like, oh, you guys are idiots. This is actually like Mario. Dude's just walking through a pipe. It's not like.
but yeah, like I am beyond ecstatic about what they did with this game, playing on a base PS4. Like I said, other than those intermediate like glitches and stuff, once you're in like the game itself, they pretty much disappear outside of the dialogue side of it. But whatever, you figured that out. It's not super crazy. But the game itself, it's on a PS4 playing in the open world is super buttery, super fun, super, man, like I can't explain how they pushed the PS4 even further than they did previously.
Mm-hmm.
The game is just amazingly pretty. Except
when you have to interact with people or get into a fight.
Well, no, it's just the transitions. All it is the cutscene to fight transitions. That is the only time that it gets wonky on the PS4. I imagine on the PS5 that's a non-issue. And so
probably not, yeah.
So if I take that bad experience out and I picture myself playing on a PS5, I would probably be like, this is the best game ever.
Ever, period. So in the here's is this your favorite game now?
It still is. Like Horizon Forbidden West, if you remember when we talked about the top 100 and we did our wrap up there. Horizon Zero Dawn is still my favorite game of all time.
No shit. Okay.
And I think Forbidden West, obviously I'm 6 hours in. I put over 120 hours into Horizon Zero Dawn. So
20 hours.
Yeah.
Those are rookie numbers, bud. Pump those numbers up.
Oh, and I'm only 70% done with that game. I'm 70% complete.
Okay.
So
Isn't that nice though?
Yes.
Like when you get to it, when you think you're done with the game and you look at the completion rate and you're like 70%. Nice. There's still stuff to do. But then also it's also like a double-sided sword too, where you're just like, I've been playing this game for 20 minutes, 70% done. Fuck! Metroid did that to me, and I was like, God damn it!
Yeah. I think this is just a first take on the game, right? This is our first impressions of both of the games. My first impression, as long as this game steadily raises the bar as you go through, much like the previous game, because what I could say about, from my perspective anyways, for Horizon Zero Dawn, your first like 20 hours is good, but it doesn't start ratcheting it up and turning that shit up until you get 20, 30, 40 hours in.
That's a pretty monumental time sink, So one of those games where it's just like, if it doesn't grab you from the beginning, kind of like Dark Souls, it's just kind of like lost on you.
Yeah, but so that's the beauty of it from my perspective. It hooks you because it's like, come on, and it's dragging you along. It's not telling you where to go, but it's making sure that you're staying along for the ride, right? It does just enough. And then, boom, once you understand who Aloy is and where that goes, then you're like, holy smokes, this just like turned upside down. what in the hell? Now I'm actually playing this game. And so that was the beauty about Zero Dawn. And as long as Forbidden West can live up to that, and I haven't gotten far enough yet to do that. If it does, I think it'll surpass Zero Dawn. Just based on what I've played thus far.
Okay. All right, I got you. So, just to go tit for tat as far as Metacritic is concerned with this thing. So I'm looking at the PlayStation 5 score for critic reviews. The thing's sitting at 88%. Or is that a percentage? Yeah, I guess it's a percent.
88 out of 100. Yep.
88 out of 100, which that's pretty reasonable. You know, a lot of games don't get past 60. Yeah, but the user score sits at an 8.1, which is pretty damn good. Which is kind of the opposite of Elden Ring, which was like at a 95, and the user score was at like 6, something like that.
And the numbers here are even higher, right? 75,000 ratings instead of 13,000 ratings.
Right. Wait, 75,000 ratings?
Sorry, 7,500 ratings instead of 1,300 ratings.
I'm gonna say, Jesus Christ, a lot of people got opinions on this game. Like,
no, sorry, 7,500 versus 1,300.
Metacritic's bumping tonight. But yeah.
But it's got some battle scars out there for sure.
No, it absolutely does. I mean, a lot of, like looking at, some of the reviews for this thing too, a lot of the people are saying some of the same stuff you are, like dull prologue, took over an ultra to beat. It took over an hour to beat, ultra linear tutorial at least. A lot of people didn't like the platforming. One guy says, probably the biggest disappointment in a while. I had very high expectations. The story is bland and unimaginative. The gameplay is very boring. Even the lauded graphic are underwhelming. Really dropped the ball here. Do you agree with this, PJam 76?
So, I mean, I think I understand what they're saying. I don't know about the biggest disappointment. Like, I think there's some, at least from the very beginning, there's some disappointing aspects of the very, very, like, off the jump. I don't know about the unimaginative, bland part of the story. I don't know if this person, it doesn't indicate if this person played the prior game. But to be honest, the story progression thus far is straight on par from the previous. I don't think it deviates, which maybe is what they may be alluding to, is it doesn't deviate from their formula. But I don't know if that's a bad thing. I actually think that staying within their story formula lends itself to be familiar and still work well. So I don't know. Even the lauded graphic are underwhelming. I don't know what he's trying to say there. Maybe I
don't know. I don't get that one, because no matter what you're looking at, I mean, if we're talking about graphical fidelity, like, I don't even care about graphics. And I'm like, that looks good.
The PS4 base model is, again, that's what I'm playing on. So I'm playing on the lowest generation that can play this game. And the graphics in this game is just incredible. It blows the first one out of the water. So I'm not sure exactly what he's saying there. They do suffer some pop in here and there on the PS4. But again, I expect that from a game that was basically supposed to be developed for the next gen console, PS5. They made the PS4 version because of the limited availability of PS5. So I don't know.
I'm getting one of those still.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I understand some of the thought here, but I don't know if I truly agree with this person.
Okay, one more for you. From Killzone Snake. Aloy is even more annoying than the first game. Graphics are amazing and the machines are cool, but how can anyone get into this cringe fest? How did at update to the first game take 5 years to make? The company who made the amazing Killzone 2 in 4 years is long gone. By the time Horizon 3 comes out, I will be old and Aloy will grow a full beard.
Oh my god.
The whole beard thing. I don't understand how people don't understand that we're mammals. like like you have hair on your face even if you can't see it from a foot away. Like,
yeah.
For anybody that hasn't been paying attention, so if you look, I think it was, what was it, the box art for Forbidden West, or it was something, it was some poster or something where they were showing Aloy's face. God, you better not be telling me that's the wrong way to pronounce her name. But and she's got, like, you know, just regular peach fuzz on her cheeks, you know, because as a person,
yeah,
you have peach fuzz on your cheeks.
Yeah,
you know, that's just what it is. And everybody's like, ew, she's got a beard. It's just like, what are we in fucking first grade? Like,
why don't you go,
Christ, guys?
Why don't you go look at your mama?
Yeah, go look at your mom, you bitch.
By the way, this Killzone Snake person, yeah, they just give shitty reviews. So, whatever.
Hey, you hear that, Killzone Snake?
Like, they got 2 reviews out there, and one's a 0 and one's a 1, and one of them is a 1 for Horizon Forbidden West. So, whatever.
Yeah, and you know,
can't please that person.
In all honesty, too, the other review too is for Last of Us Part 2, which was just a lightning rod for people just coming out of nowhere and just saying, like, hey, I have a mental illness and let me show you.
Yeah, we'll shelf that game for another conversation.
One of these days we'll have to talk about that one, but that was a very interesting social experiment with that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world kind of let me down on that one, but I don't know.
So this person here, I wish I could get my money back. The game looks amazing, but that's it. I got bored after 2 hours. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier, right?
Okay.
The game needs it basically, you know, it drags you along, right? And if you can't get into the story, then that game is not for you, because at least that's my opinion, right? Because, you know, the story is the base, basically the base target of the beginning of this series thus far, right? This is the footprint they had in the first one, and it's the same thing they repeated for the second one. And there's no reason why they would deviate from it. And so, again, getting back to it, is the game really starts getting going when you're like 10 hours in. People have, I feel like some people have a attention deficit when it comes to games. You know, it's like, oh, I want a really long game. Oh, but I want to, like, I don't want to, like, I want it to be intense for 100 freaking hours. Well, you can't play a game intensely for 100 hours.
Well, yeah, and when you're trying to tell a story too, you need the downtime. You know, you need the moments of reflection to understand what you've lost or what you've gained. You know, it can't all just be like, well, here's a bad example of storytelling. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the last one.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, we're going and 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 it's over. And so much shit happens that it kind of fooled you into being like, I think I had a good time. And as soon as you stop to slow down and to understand, like, oh, wait, hold on a second. This is what happens. This is what we're doing. Oh, this was trash.
Thanks for listening to our most recent episode of Uneducated Gamers. You can go to Galaxy Game TV to post comments on each of our episodes, or if you have a question or a topic you would like us to include in an episode, feel free to leave a comment. Until next week, we bid you farewell.